Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Show Me the Data podcast, where we deconstruct how real marketing campaigns work, look at the data, and get some real takeaways. In this episode, we are talking to Nate Guggia, the head of GTM at College. He's the only man running their sales operation, and in this episode, we'll find out how he's doing that. And so no templated sequences, just real responses and how he actually gets replies. Nate, great to have you on the show. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
To start things off, just to give viewers the context, could you talk about your role, what you're doing at the moment, and what's your current setup?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So let's see. I lead go-to-market for a company called College Inc. Just quickly, we're in a pretty unique space. I think we're maybe the only company who does what we do at the scale that we do it. We basically, we build a software that, for the most part, every college and university in the United States uses to manage all of their ad space on one platform. Before College Inc. was around, if a brand wanted to advertise to college kids, they literally had to call like every school that they wanted to advertise with and, get their marketing, kits and negotiate pricing and get them creative. And in the college marketing space, no ad space is created equal. It was kind of a mess. So what we've done is we've allowed schools to manage all of that in one place. And we roll all that ad space up for brands who want to reach 18 to 24-year-old Gen Zs, AKA college kids in the US. So we're in a pretty unique space. And I think like when it comes to that, it kind of it requires a unique approach as well, because it's something that a lot of brands aren't familiar with to start with. And so getting them familiar with that opportunity, is kind of like the starting point in how we think about this. So I'm happy to dive deeper into all of that, but, I basically manage everything top of funnel. I think of things as like sales leads as opposed to like marketing qualified leads and all that other stuff. I think about like, how can we get the right conversation started at the right point in time when somebody is in market to give us the best chance of selling something through.
Before we get into more details, because we will get to a lot of details, Nate, how's it like doing it yourself?
Yeah.
Just you.
Yeah. So let's see. I really like that. There's been times where I admittedly felt a little frustrated, like, hey, do I have any support here? Am I the only one doing this? But as I've really gotten into this, I'm about 2.5 years into this role. I've really kind of like dug in and kind of found my little like niche in the org and like where I kind of fit in. We're a small team. I mean, on the go-to-market sales side, there's only a few of us. Most of our headcount is on the supply side. The team who manages all the ad campaigns has relationships with the schools, basically, and then ultimately like works with the client. That's where most of our headcount is. So I think like we're a very lean, efficient team. We sell enterprise deals, so volume isn't really high. So like within the context of like how we do things, me kind of being like that front man to get calls on the calendar and, set up those initial sales calls, I think it works extremely well now. And I actually enjoy it because it does give me, because we're a small, efficient team, we all have a lot of autonomy, which is something that like, I like really, like I thrive in that environment. It's like, hey, Nate, go do your job. Other people on the team, go do your job. When something comes together, we'll all collaborate and we'll like get this thing done. I really, really like that now.
Totally. With regards to the outbound campaigns, because you've done a lot. You've done some that worked better than others. What stands out in the last year, maybe in the last year and a half? What are the ones that you feel like, wow, this was powerful. This was really something that we walked away with, some really good takeaways as well.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Before joining College Inc., I was a co-founder. I ran my own startup for like 3.5 years. I was at that point. I was very. I despised outbound. That's just like the cleanest way to say it. I really did. Almost like dogmatically. Like I was like 100% brand marketing, was the only way to generate like very like qualified conversations. I thought it was the best way to interact with the outside world, your buyers. I was very, very much a marketing driven salesperson. Still a salesperson, but just had like this marketing mindset. It's really kind of, I don't know, this unique combination. And then after like that company got acquired, and then I joined College Inc. And it was just like, it was different. Alex, our CEO, is a sales guy at heart, and having a sales minded CEO kind of like sets the tone for the company. It's like, we're a more sales driven organization as opposed to marketing. We didn't I was kind of our first go-to-market hire. And Alex and I were having a conversation, and he was telling me his philosophy on just like doing outreach. It's like, hey, like, I like to make it thoughtful and personal. I like to just write everything out by hand. And I kind of watched him do this motion a few times, and I was like, hey, this like really is starting to resonate a little bit. This isn't just like spamming a bunch of people and sending out a lot of volume. This is like really kind of like paying attention to what's going on in the market, and like very targeted people to reach out to, and just like putting a lot of effort in on the research side, and then turning that into email copy and sending somebody like a really kind of like nice note. No rules, no restrictions, just kind of like doing it that way. And I was like, okay, this sounds pretty cool. So like I started doing it myself. And when I first came in, I was in this position. I think a lot of people who are kind of first sales hires are also in this position where there isn't really a roadmap. ICPs are kind of identified, but not really. And the task is like, hey, like, go and find people for us to sell to. We have an idea of who they are, but we have to do a lot of exploration. But at the same time, like, we need to make money and we need to sell stuff. So I'm like, all right. So like, I just like kind of went into go mode and started looking at a lot of different verticals we can sell into. Experimented with selling into smaller companies and enterprise companies, and just kind of like doing this whole mix. It was like, how many calls can I get on the books to just start kind of figuring out where our best target market is? And then we started running with that. And so what I quickly realized was, in a world where, if you can imagine how many people want to market, advertise to 18 to 24-year-olds in the United States, it's almost like I can't even wrap my head around this, because it almost feels like every consumer brand would fit that mold. So I had to figure out a way to take this really kind of like overwhelming task and simplify it at a tactical level. Because when it comes down to it, like, I'm a very tactical person. I do things, I'm very disciplined, and then those things equal a result. And so I realized kind of quickly that if I could pay attention to like market intent signals, that at least shows me that a brand is moving in market and they might like to hear about our thing. So one of the things that I did early on was I realized, okay, if I see an article written by a beverage newsletter or a grocery newsletter or Adweek or something like that, that says like, hey, this beauty brand just launched nationwide in 2,400 Target stores, and that beauty brand is making a product that is targeted at a younger audience. Okay, now I know that company has reached like a level of scale. College kids love Target. They'd want to hear about that brand, whatever. So that I started using that as like a proxy to go like, hey, X beauty brand, saw that you launched in 2,400 Target stores. We can easily map college campuses to stores within close proximity. Seems like college is probably a fit. Would love to talk to you about this, blah, blah, blah. That started booking calls pretty quickly. And so I was like, okay, so the more inputs I can have coming to me, the more I can use those then as intent signals to start doing my outreach. So I started subscribing to different like industry newsletters that would fit our demographic, or our ICP rather is a better way to say it. I started like subscribing to like Gen Z newsletters, stuff like that, that would constantly on a daily basis kind of give me input that I could sift through, pull out some good leads like that, write them some personalized stuff based off of the things I'm seeing out there in the market, and continue to book calls. So that like, and over time, I've still continued to use that process. We've moved more upmarket because we realized that like working with smaller companies, just like isn't kind of like the market we want to serve. We're like more enterprise, but like I've still used that same kind of model to allow things to come into me that I can like respond to. And at this point, like on a daily basis, I mean, I probably get like 10 different things hitting my inbox. I sift through them, find the ones that are a fit and reach out to them. Still doing like a really personalized approach, still basing my email copy off of things that I'm seeing out there. And I think that works.
And just to like even dig into it a little bit more, could you just like give us an example? So if something hits your inbox, like what's the process you then follow to do that outreach? Like just
Yeah, totally. Okay, so from a tooling perspective, I only use a couple tools. I use Superhuman for email.
Big fan.
Big fan of Superhuman. And you know what? The thing with Superhuman, it is the thing that I tell people about Superhuman is like, I don't know what it is about that app, but it makes me enjoy writing an email. There's something about it. It's great. So I use Superhuman for email. I use LinkedIn Sales Navigator to find the right contacts. I use Apollo for, to find like email data, email addresses. And then I do my like free, subscriptions to like these like random kind of like newsletters and articles and stuff. And so if I see one come in, I'll look at it. I'll read through the article. A lot of times in articles, there will be somebody from that company who's quoted in the article. So if that person is fit, we sell into marketing orgs. So if it's like the marketing person at Frito-Lay who's talking about their new flavor of whatever that is targeting a younger audience, I'll find that person. And then what I will also do is I will look through Sales Nav, and this is where most of my time is spent, is combing through contacts at companies, looking through their LinkedIn profiles, seeing if they are the right person or part of the team who would care about college or about Gen Z or about this brand. And so this tactic that I've used from the beginning that works extremely well is if you're reaching out to a larger brand, there's usually 3 to 5 people who might be part of that team, care about this initiative, whatever, So I will find 1 to 5 different people who I think are going to care about this, and I will put them all in the same email. I'll put one person in like the to section, but then I will copy anywhere from 1 to 3 or 4 other people on that email. Because I want everybody to have visibility. And I'm not kidding when I say this, like most of the time, what will happen is when somebody replies, they will be one of the people who was copied on that email. And they'll say like, hey, Nate, thanks for reaching out. Moving everyone else to BCC, like I'm the right contact, like let's set up a time to talk or whatever. But the only way to do that is to do it manually. You can't do that through automation. Automation is a one-to-one message, right? And so I really like doing this manual process because again, I can put a lot of time up in the front end. I can find the people that I think should have visibility in this email, and I can like place them in the right spot on the email to copy them, whatever. And then so I'll go through, I'll write up the email, whatever. I'll send it out, and then I just like in Superhuman, I just hit a remind me. If no reply, I'll hit a reminder to pop up back in my inbox, usually within maybe 6 days. It's kind of an intuitive process, but I usually do it. Like if I send an email on a Tuesday, I'll usually set the reminder for the next Monday, for the following Monday that comes up. So now, once you get enough motion going through your inbox, brand new outreach, follow-ups come in every day. I log into my email and I have a handful or more of follow-ups to do. And then when it comes to the follow-ups, I don't do like a full like personalized thing or whatever. Those are just like pretty standard like short follow-ups. But I'll send a follow-up and then I'll hit the reminder again and I'll do a third one. So I do this like manual process of like working through 3 emails before I kind of let that rest. But then the thing that I do after that is after I send a prospect 3 emails, and if I don't get a reply, I'm not done with them. I'm just done for now. And so what I will do is I might wait a month or 2, set a reminder to like, hey, follow up in like a month or 2, depending on where we're at, because we do college marketing and college marketing is based around moments. Back to school in the fall is a big moment. Spring break is a big moment. Depending on the brand, they can market around these moments. So I know right now we're looking at back to school is going to be, August. So if I reach out to somebody for the 3rd time today, and they don't reply, I'll set a reminder for a month from now because we're still in the back to school planning time, Again, it's all kind of intuitive, but because it's manual, I kind of know where things are at and I don't have to rely on software to like program things. I can just do it myself. I also pay attention to like email open rates. If somebody opened an email a lot of times, I know that there's some level of like interest there, but maybe the timing isn't right. So I'll plan my follow-ups based off of that. There's a really great example that just happened on Friday. So I booked a call with, like, as far as like we're concerned, probably the best QSR like fast food company in the United States as far as like Gen Z is concerned. I booked a call with them on Friday. We're going to talk to them this week. Now I looked back because I was curious. I was like, when did I start reaching out to this person? I started reaching out to this person 18 months ago, was the first email that I sent them. And I did my initial process. And then I keep this huge running list in the Google sheet of just everyone that I've reached out to. And I track, again, back to autonomy. I track my own activity every week. Nobody tells me what to do. I track it. So like I have like a personal benchmark that I need to meet just so I feel productive. And I'll go back through that list periodically and it creates this big prospect list that I can go back and do follow-ups months and months later. But I reached out to this woman the first time, her and her team, 18 months ago, and then periodically have just been like tactfully persistent, not a pest, not sending her like 12 emails every week for 12 straight weeks, whatever, but just periodically as we start coming up to these moments. I know they're a college brand. I know they invest in college, like they're right there. And I would just send her a note. Hey, saw this in the news, whatever, just like little things. Boom, 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 boom. And finally she replied to me on Friday. She said, hey, I think there's something here. Copied in her assistant. She's like, make sure you include this person on the call, blah, blah, like the whole thing, And I was like, damn, I probably emailed that woman 12, 13 times over the course of a year and a half and just kind of like stayed persistent, not a pest, whatever. But again, I'll just like, I keep harping on this, like do it manually. The only reason I was able to do that is because I did it manually and I was just able to kind of like look deeper into hey, she opens every email I send her multiple times. I know there's something here, but you just can't control timing. The only thing you can do is just kind of like show up and be there. And if you do it enough times and the need is there, it'll just, sometimes magic happens. You're like, oh, this is sweet. All right.
Nate, why are you, so two questions. How do you look at email warm-up, deliverability, things like that? There's a big conversation when you are doing email as to whether that gets delivered, whether that not gets delivered. Do you warm up the email? Do you not warm up the email? How do you look at the volume of these sorts of things? Like your take on that. And the other part is you consciously don't use Apollo or SalesLoft or these tools that help you automate steps, that help you automate emails. So like, for example, 6-day follow-up. That's like a lot of work. Why do you prefer to do it that way? And what's your take on there's a lot more work versus I could just automate this part of the process and then in a few months come back, and then restart the sequence. So your take on these two things.
Yeah, right. Okay, so wait, what was the first part of the question?
Yeah, that's what happens when you ask two questions at the same time. You're not supposed to do, but
No, it's fine.
the warm up.
Oh yeah, the warm up. No, actually, yeah, no. When I first started, I was a little concerned about that, but because of the volume that we do, it's never even been an issue. Again, going back, so the nice thing about this, and some very important context, is our average deal size is like around 250K. We sell primarily to enterprise companies. And so our volume just overall from like a deal standpoint, outreach standpoint, again, back to our approach, it works extremely well when you're trying to book calls with some of the biggest companies in your country. And that's what we're doing. And we do it. And we do it in a way that, some of my emails that I write are 200 words. A 200-word cold email to a Fortune 500 company is like, I don't know, that's like a sin in the world of like cold outreach. Like you just like would never do that. That's insane. And I love it because, again, going back to I hated cold outreach, and I hated cold outreach, I think, for a reason. I'm kind of a marketing-minded person, but I'm also in a sales role. It just all kind of clicked, and I like doing things that nobody else is willing to do. They're unconventional, they kind of break the mold, and I'm like, and when something like that works, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty awesome. And so no, back to deliverability and warming up email. I don't even think about it. I've never had an issue with it. Everything seems totally fine there. From the automation standpoint, there's something. What's the word? I'm trying to think. It's like you can feel it in a way when you do it manually. So if we were selling if we were doing high volume, low dollar amount sales, I would take a different approach, for sure. But because I'm not, I really like to spend the time to dig into people's profiles and find the right people and write them the right message. And copywriting is an important part, I think, of any salesperson's role. And there's just this feeling that you get when you do it. And then I'm obsessed with I'll send emails, and then later in the day, I'll go back and I'll look at my sent emails, and I'll be like, okay, who opened it and how many times did they open it and stuff like that. There's just this things that you get when you do things manually that you don't get from automation. I can also intuitively know when I want to kind of keep that follow-up going with people down the road and periodically check in around these moments and stuff, versus sometimes I'll just let people go because you just don't see anything there, I'm just able to be in it more. That's it. Yeah.
What's the volume typically per week of, I guess, net new emails that you're sending?
Yeah, net new emails. Yeah, that's good. Probably net new would be in the 20 to, let's just say 20. Let's just say 20 net new emails. Doesn't sound like a lot. That sounds like pretty low volume. Total emails that I send through includes follow-ups, and also follow-ups that maybe somebody I haven't touched base with in months. I kind of include all of that. I try to do around 75 to 100 touches per week. Again, depending on the world that somebody's coming from, that might sound extremely low volume. The most new emails that I've ever sent out in a day is 10. It just takes a long time. It really does. And you kind of get to a point where you're I need a break from this. It's a lot. As much as I love doing it, it's just kind of a intense kind of thing to do, and you kind of get burnt out from it a little bit if you do too many in a day. But yeah.
What's the structure of the email? It sounds like there's a lot of, obviously there's a lot of customization that you do based on your research, based on person research, based on activity. But is there, let's say when you're reaching out the first time, is there an email structure, first line, second line, third line, that work best for you, that is like a structure that you typically apply and then you customize based on that particular account?
Yes, absolutely. It's a wonderful question. So start off with the calling out the thing that I saw. So the trigger. Yeah. Saw that you're doing this. Looks like college could be like a natural fit, or college is a great fit, or whatever, like some kind of like tying college to the thing that I saw. We got like right now, the things that I'm writing are like, there's that. And then like the hook is like back to school's coming up in the fall, the biggest moment on college campuses. Would love to talk about how your X brand can have a big presence when students get back on campus. Here's a bit more about us. And then I kind of have a standard blurb that I use about the company, about what we do, about the reach that we have. I mean, when you write it out, it's like, we have all the physical and digital media, 2,300 plus schools that can reach 96% of US college students, whatever, kind of give that blurb. And then I'll say like, we work with brands like blah, 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 blah. And I'll just list them out because we work with a lot of like really great brands that everybody knows. And that's kind of it. So it's actually broken up into 3 different components and 3 different like paragraphs, even though they're kind of short paragraphs. I'd like to write that way because it's easier to read. So it's like kind of like the trigger tied into what we do. Middle paragraph is a blurb about us. Third blurb is like, we work with these companies and it seems like there's probably, crossover here. Let me know. And then the follow-up is like 1 or 2 sentences from there, like pretty standard stuff.
What's your most successful email? The one that you would attribute to.
Totally. Okay. It's the most famous email I ever sent in our company. I think. It honestly it is. But it was like I cannot chalk it up to the email. I could only chalk it up to it being sent at the absolute perfect time. So I sent an email. It was one of these ones too, where it's like, it's fun when you look back on like how this stuff happens. For some reason, hold on. I've had the most success sending emails on Fridays. Fridays are the best. There's no, and just so you guys know, I get more excited about booking a call with a really great prospect than I do about closing a deal. and like, we all know that in the company, we all laugh about it, and it's great because we all play our different roles. And so it's great that I do what I do because it gets me so excited. But when I book a call with a big prospect, it is just like, I call our CEO, I'm like, it's fun. It was the end of a day. It was honestly like later than I ever like send emails or anything like that. It was just late in the day and I had a little extra time. I think my son was like at practice, who knows, I just had some extra time and I found, I saw that Uber Eats does a student discount. That's all I saw, that they were doing a student discount. So I looked at Uber Eats and I was like, did my whole process, whatever. And I send this guy an email and copy his team. And I'm not kidding you. Like the dude replied to me, like it was like, boom, like within 5 minutes, he writes me back and he's just like, oh my God, we are literally talking about this right now. Like, can you talk tomorrow? Okay. It was like, it was one of those things where like the timing was perfect. They ended up being one of our greatest clients ever. It was like, it was a very, very cool thing on how that happened. Again, that is not like, I don't have some magical skill set or anything like that, but that is definitely the best email that I've ever sent.
And just for context on that email, how many people do you copy in? Like how many do you thread
I
in?
think it was him and 3 people on the team that would be part of a college thing. Yeah. But the most I will ever copy somebody on is 1 in the 2 and then copy 4 people on it. Yeah. But I do that on a regular basis because if you're talking about a big company, there's a lot of people, who could be part of marketing and whatever. You really have to kind of like dig down. And so copying that many people on an email, it might sound kind of strange, but like I've been doing it for so long and it's worked so well that, and nobody ever minds. I mean, everyone, like, if anything, they're like happy to have visibility into it and they would have never known otherwise.
Goes against a lot of wisdom in sales, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. And, but yeah, I mean, it worked. I booked 2 calls yesterday and they were both done that way. I mean, the person who was copied on it was actually the person that wants to talk to us, and they moved everyone else to BCC, and they're totally cool. Yeah.
Nate, do you actually reference every single person in the email when you answer? No, you don't.
So I used to. When I first started, I actually, I used to. And then I realized that it was just too clunky that way. Yeah. So this is the other part too, where by doing it manually, as you write, when you copyright, like if you guys do any kind of writing, you kind of know this, like you start to feel the words and I write how I talk. So, it's, so sometimes like my copywriting is how you would read it and go, oh, okay. But it's not like the conventional way to write. And so what I realized was like, as I was writing emails, it just became too clunky to address an email to multiple people. It just didn't read right. And so I started,
It's a bit like when you're trying to sell you something and they call you Nate like 4 times in 2 sentences.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so just talk to me. Yeah. So I moved away from that in my first year of doing this.
What about Nate? What about this take your take on? So you obviously go for low volume emails. They're very tailored. They go by intent. So you look at the trigger. You trigger event things that happened, like Uber Eats example. You look at something in the news. If you have trouble finding that, right? Let's say maybe you like.
Yes.
It's harder to find the trigger. What's your take on? Like a lot of people do, generalize it. Oh, like, maybe like making something a little bit softer, maybe something a little bit generic. Is your take on, hey, I'm not going to even bother. I'm going to only look at triggers and that's what I'm going to do. Or maybe there's something what else you could look at? Yeah.
So, okay. So I've talked to people about my process, who've just been like kind of curious, like how I do it, and I explain it to them. And then I think it's probably easier for me to find triggers than it might be for other industries. And so I know this doesn't map directly to everybody who's selling, depending on their industry. So I have backups, I have, backup lists again, because, but I think it's very important to pay attention to what your industry is doing or what the audience that your ICP is selling to is doing. So what I mean by that is the brands that we sell to are trying to sell to Gen Z. So I pay attention to Gen Z stuff. Different publications, newsletters, Gen Z bloggers, stuff like that, they'll come out with like the list of like the hottest brands this year. Brands that college kids love. There's so much stuff out there depending on like with any industry. That's my secondary level that I pay attention to. And so when it comes to that, you can still use it as a trigger or a hook, or that their audience cares about them. And so it's kind of easy to like tie it into that. And then there's just some brands that you're selling to that it's just so obvious that you almost like don't even need a trigger. You know, you don't have to like over personalize or whatever. It's like, hey, back to school's coming up.
Totally.
You know, like it doesn't have to be more than that. Like, I know you're planning for this stuff. Do you want to talk? This is what we do, you know? So it doesn't always have to be this full on in-depth personal thing. Sometimes it's like, it's so obvious. You just have to be disciplined and persistent and just stay on it. Like the one I was talking to you about, like 18 months later, we book a call with them. And it's not like every email I sent this woman was some like magical personalized thing. It was that at that point, it was more just me being disciplined enough to like stay at it, not let it go, see that she's opening all my emails. And it's just a matter of time.
Yeah. AI, Nate, are you just like leave it like, you just leave it at the door and that's it. You just shut it down and like, you don't really care about it, or you see in certain scenarios for you, like research phase, that, hey, this could be a little bit useful. I could hoover up some insights and do something with that, or you don't really use it too much.
Yeah, I think it's great for research. I don't use it for writing or anything, but I definitely use it for research. And I mean, it's pretty awesome. There's times where I cannot find the right person who to reach out to for something like, on LinkedIn, I just cannot find them in Sales Navigator or whatever. And like, I'll use AI to find out like who leads marketing for this brand or whatever. And it finds it for me almost every time. So yeah, like research, like just like admin tasks, stuff like that. I think it's amazing. Yeah, it really is. I mean, the stuff it can do these days is incredible. But yeah, I don't use it for anything like on the email side, but definitely on the back end.
For account executives that are doing their outbound, if we get to a more takeaways part, what's your broader general advice and maybe some more tactical specific stuff if we just take enterprise accounts, so it matches one-to-one to the context of this particular discussion? What's your advice to AEs that are like in general, to a general approach, and more tactical, do this or consider doing these on a daily basis and weekly basis?
Okay, so I mentioned earlier that I use this very basic Google Sheet to manage it. This Google Sheet lists everybody that I've ever reached out to, not at a company level, not at a contact level. So again, this is like some of the things that people might cringe at because it's so
CRM.
What's it? No CRM.
No CRM, no HubSpot. Like that probably will be one of the things like, what the hell?
Yeah, right. Yeah, no CRM. And I have this Google Sheet that just has this huge running list of every company that I reach out to. And again, like I have it, it's always up. And every week, I manage and track my own numbers. And then I create a new column every week, and it's just like week over week over week over week. So what that does for me is it allows me to know, one, the companies that I've reached out to, two, when I've reached out to them. And what I can do is, so you're talking about like not having triggers. There's times where there aren't that many triggers, and I'm not going to get that much activity if I just were to sit back and look at those, or wait for them rather. So what I will do is I will go back through my running list, and I will do this multiple times throughout the year, maybe once a quarter kind of a thing. And I'll go back, and at this point I'm in the thousands, right, of companies on this Google Sheet. But I will just like jump back up to number 500 or whatever, because now like based off of that volume, 500 would have been like sometime like last year or whatever. And all I will do is I will look at company name. I will go back into my email, look at the last time I reached out to them, go like, whoa, I haven't reached out to them in 6 months, whatever. Look at the email. How many times did they open it? Whoa, it looked like this company was pretty engaged. Are these people still at the company? Oh, looks like they're still at the company. Reply all, hey, I reached out last year, whatever. And I'll just do my thing again, set a reminder, Next thing I know, I've sent them like 2-3 more emails and I hadn't reached out in 6 months. And I will do that and go and just start building up brand new activity based off of old outreach. And so I have new outreach, new follow-up to new outreach, new follow-up to old outreach. I'm constantly creating activity based off of the stuff that I'm doing. And I book a lot of calls off of that old outreach list because I'm never letting it go. And I can go back through and sometimes I'll skip people, be like, you know what, they never engaged. I can just tell. I just know they're never going to. Sometimes there's new people at the company because marketing teams, there's a lot of turnover. That creates a new opportunity for me to reach out to new people at a company that I reached out to previously. And so back to like tactically, what I would do if I were an AE selling enterprise stuff is I would actually do that. Like you are managing your own activity. You're always in the game. You're never letting prospects like die because you're not just running this like standard process where it's like I email them 6 times and do 2 calls over the course of this and then it's done. It's like, and then maybe it goes to marketing. It's like it never goes to marketing for us. It just like always stays with me. And so I'm just like managing my own prospecting list all the time. And I create so much activity.
You're like the very analog car or analog experience, super manual in the world of like automated stuff.
I know. It's like, and I tried doing automation not that long ago. We did it with my manager. She was like, hey, let's just do it for fun. Just to see, you know. And the thing I reported back was, 1, I don't like losing the control of it. Also, I was not able to do that copy people on the, you know, I could not put anybody in the CC section. So I couldn't copy multiple people on it. And I just wasn't able to like write even a few sentences that tied back to that trigger. I just like couldn't do it. There just was, so I lost it. I just like, I didn't like losing that touch, but I did try it out, but yeah.
In terms of general advice, Nate, on 2 A's, just more principled stuff, is there anything that you would recommend? For example, don't just blast them with a generic email. Maybe that's a little bit too generic advice, but anything on more general level, principle level, just, you know, like a higher level than actual tactics, than actual approach that you've just very eloquently described. What they should do, what the AEs should consider if they're selling to enterprise, like just general approach, for example, one-to-one communication, or like, you know, have like 4 contacts per company, things like that. If there's anything from your perspective that will be worth for them to consider.
Yeah, I would try out send the email like in the to section, have it be the person that you think is probably the decision maker or the person who cares the most. But then copy in a few other people that you think would be part of this process, but like would also care about the thing that you're selling. And who would also, if you like theoretically booked a call, would also want to be in that room. It's so natural for me to do that now that like it doesn't even seem weird, but I would imagine somebody hearing this for the first time thinks it's weird or it might be intrusive or whatever. It's actually a friendlier approach. You're like just giving people visibility into something that they wouldn't otherwise have visibility into. And what you will see is you will see somebody who's who's copied on the email, like open the email so many more times than everybody else. And you're like, that's the person. Okay, they care. But then you just keep following the same process. It's not like you move them to the to section because that would be weird. You're like, hey, saw you open my email 7 times and nobody else opened it. Like you don't want you don't want to do that. But I would do that. And then, you know, like the thing that when cold outreach is hard. Like there's just no 2 ways about it. It's hard. It's which I love. That's why booking a big call to me is such like a celebratory kind of moment, because it is really hard. It's a hard thing to do. And when you can do it, it's worth celebrating. And there's weeks that I will just go through these periods where like nothing is happening. And I'm like, man, it's like you almost start taking it personal. Like what, like this is, I'm feeling kind of down, but it's a game. I just like, I gamify the whole thing. It's a game for myself. And then all of a sudden you'll just get something that happens and you're like, that's right. If you just keep doing the thing that is the right thing to do, the math is going to work out, because because all you can control is you can control your approach, and you can, control like triggers. That's why I like it. It's like, hey, if I'm reaching out to somebody because I saw something that they're doing and there's a likelihood that this is relevant. I'm not emailing somebody something that is irrelevant, that is just kind of like trash to them. It's like, hey, like this is thoughtful. I'm taking a thoughtful approach, but I cannot control timing. Like that's on their end. And if things align, then they align. So, that's it.
In times on Friday, right? Like odd hours on a Friday, like super late or super early. That's another thing, I guess, that it's not really, it's more time.
Yeah. So, you know what else? Like, so I don't pay any attention at all to best times to send email, nothing like that. I just send them. I do. Yeah. I just send them. Like, I did this last night. I sent somebody an email at like 5:30 because I ended a call. Again, this like usually happens like when my kid's not around. It's like I have a little extra time. He was literally at practice, and there was this article that I read, and I'd been wanting to reach out to this person. I just hadn't had the time, and so I had a little extra time, and so I emailed her last night at like 5:30. I haven't gotten a reply, but like I didn't even think twice about it, because I don't know. We live in a different age right now. A lot of us work remote. We work kind of weird hours, sometimes we're off a little bit during the day and we work a little bit later, whatever. So it's like somebody getting an email at 5:30 for my time or whatever, like isn't that big of a deal. Sometimes like I'll send an email out like late Sunday afternoon, because that's when a lot of people catch up on email. Like, I don't know. I figure like if I'm doing it, like I have a busy life, like I have a family and all that kind of stuff. But if I'm fitting in an email, like I'm working, I don't think it's weird for somebody to get it either. So no, I don't, like, long way of saying I don't put a lot of thought into it.
But totally. And you don't mind adding links, articles into the first email because you're low volume,
Oh, actually, no, I don't include no links. Nope.
First email, you're doing like this TXT or, whatever they call it, raw email, no HTML, no nothing. So it gets delivered.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, I don't link. So if I see an article, I don't link to the article that I saw. I just say, hey, like I saw that you're doing this. I just like tie it to the thing that I saw, Yeah.
Absolutely.
But yeah, no, I never link. And when I do, like, the little blurb about us, it's all written out.
For sure. Nate, anything we haven't covered in this conversation? Tremendous stuff, like really, really cool. Anything we haven't asked you, we should have asked. Obviously related to outbound, related to the campaigns you ran, your transition and going to college. Anything that maybe would be worth mentioning from that we maybe didn't catch? Could be related to outcomes for AEs, or just your overall philosophy. Maybe if you want to put it as an outcome or as a takeaway. We already did some takeaways, but more like, why you do it this way. You already touched on many parts.
Yeah.
And final message.
Yeah, sure. So I have, I've gotten positive feedback from this approach from people on the other end, people on the other side of the email. And the hesitancy I've always had around cold email prior to joining College Inc. was I did not want to be intrusive. And I think I over-indexed on that. And there was some undoing that needed to be done there. But I think now with marketing has become a bit intrusive. It's kind of everywhere you go, you know? And so there is something that is actually like pretty personal and thoughtful about sending somebody the right message right to their inbox that they can check when they want to check it. And if it's the right thing for them and it intrigues them, they're gonna open it, they're gonna come back to it, whatever, you know? And so I've come back around to like, it's actually a very like nice way to approach somebody, if you can do it in the right way. And so I had to think about this because I had to like really change my perspective on cold outreach. I had to think about it from like me. If I was on the other end, how would I want to receive something? And we all get emails that are just like so off base that we're like, what do you do? Like, what are you talking about? This had nothing to do with me. I don't even know like why you would think this about me, you know? And so I kind of like thought through that. I was like, okay, well, if I'm on the other end, like one, what kind of email would I want to read? I want to read an email that sounded like a human, like somebody who's just like talking to me, isn't trying to like speak in jargon and whatever. It was like, you know, somebody who's like just talking like a normal person, which is, by the way, how we run our sales calls. Our sales calls are very like casual and natural and like kind of funny and whatever, you know. And I think that's that should be consistent. So I think that's consistent from the outreach that I do to the sales calls that we do to the way that people work with our team. It's all kind of like, it's all consistent. And so I would just encourage people to think about what it would be like to be on the other end. Be unconventional. If everyone's running in one direction, you know, it's okay to go in the other direction. Do things that feel like normal, human, and natural, like intuitively good. Like do those things, because if you are doing cold outreach, the things that you're doing should feel good because again, it's hard and like the failure rate is extremely high. And so you should feel good about the stuff you're doing and it should be fun and it should be a game, you know? But the moral of the story, I think, is just like, write how you'd want to write how you talk, send the message you'd want to receive. Just be like a normal, natural human being who's like trying to match your thing up with somebody who's in market and like let the rest take care of itself.
That's great. That's awesome. That's awesome. Did you join anything on your side? Do you want anything you want to add?
Really, really good conversation. Really enjoyed this.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Thank you, man. Yeah, that was great. Thank you, guys. Thank you for listening. This was, this was awesome. This was such a good conversation.